Hello and good afternoon, Beatles fans around the world. Welcome along to this exclusive Q&A. It's my absolute honour to welcome Ron, Sir Paul and Ringo. How are you all?
Well,
good, thank you.
Great to have you. No, I am armoured with amazing questions from your fans from all over the world. So we've got limited time, and I'm going to crack on if that's all right. Loads of questions about this wonderful film that you've made, the Beatles 8 days a week, the touring years. I'm going to head to Kirkwood in Missouri first, if that's okay. Thank you, Sherlyn, for your question. Ringo, Paul and Ron, what is unique about this movie compared to the other films that have been put out about the Beatles? Ron?
Well, one thing I thought I could bring to it was, a point of view. And so as a director, and I was allowed to have final cut and the things that I would normally have on a movie, it's sort of a perspective on this journey. It also focuses just on the touring years, which makes it kind of an adventure story. And last, it has new footage that hasn't been seen before. It has a better mixed digital sound and so forth. It makes the concert experience, I think, really exciting for audiences, more so than it's ever been able to be before.
You two want to pick up on that?
I haven't seen it.
No,
I can't believe this.
No, I haven't. No. We're looking forward to tomorrow night, as you can imagine. No, I mean, what Ron said, we know, we've seen bits and pieces, so we know there's new footage that fans sent in. Yeah. So that's very exciting.
And remix sound.
Remix sound that Giles Martin did.
Yeah.
And that's incredible because in the cinema, we're going to actually be able to hear ourselves. The first time we couldn't hear ourselves when we were live. So much screaming going on. But now he's got it under control.
Although there's liable to be a lot of screaming in the theater. Who knows?
I'll be screaming.
This one comes from, I hope I get your name right, because it's beautiful, Ildwara. I think that's how you say it. We don't know where you're from, but I'm assuming somewhere gorgeous. For Paul and Ringo, how was your reaction when Ron said to you that he wanted to make a documentary about the touring years for the band?
Well, the documentary had been started and we'd been asked from our Apple group of companies, and we thought that was a good idea to show another side. And it was just great news when Ron came on board, because we both love Ron. And he didn't know that, but and so that's how it started. And I remember when we saw the first cut, and then we went to be filmed by Ron. And it was a lot of other people doing a lot of talking, which I believe he's cut out now. And it's mainly him and I. So, it made it better for me.
Yeah.
And to see the footage was exciting, though, because I hadn't seen it 1,000 years, you know what I mean? So that was great. And then to see that Giles got good sound.
And it was exciting, that Ron was going to do it because we loved his work as a sort of Hollywood director. And we liked him as Richie in Happy Days as well. But, we knew that...
Never live it. I
don't want it.
We're not even going further back. But, you knew that we were in very good hands, and it was someone who was going to actually look for the story and make something different with all of this massive material that he had to sift through with his team, But once we knew he was on board, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be good.
It is. It's finding something new about the Beatles that hasn't been said before. And you really do. You strip past that whole kind of chaos to find out these people and the experience they're going through. It's wonderful. I've seen it. I've been lucky. This one's from Adam in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He says to Ron, in your opinion, how does documentary storytelling compare to directing, a biopic such as Frost Nixon, for example?
Well, in both instances, you're trying to sort of get at, the truth of the story. With a scripted movie, you take a lot more creative license because you collapse scenes, you combine characters, you take those liberties because after all, you're trying to create a movie. Here, this is a kind of a document, and I needed to honor all of the people who for decades have been encyclopedic about the Beatles and know everything about it. But I also really, really wanted to make a movie. Maybe I was thinking about my own kids, sort of millennials, who think they know a lot about the band, they love the music, but they don't really have a sense of that intensity of what they achieved, what they lived through, what was going on in the world around them at that time, that context. So, I really just applied the same sensibilities that I do to every story, which is what can I learn about this? What can I offer up that I think's entertaining involving, engaging, and memorable. And so I hope that people who love the Beatles, it's a great journey back, and then I hope for other people, there's some insights and something new to come to understand.
And a lot of singing along opportunities. I annoyed the person sat next to me so much. This one's from Douglas, who's in Bonnyrigg in Midlothian, who says he'd like to ask Paul and Ringo about their workload during the touring years. What with touring and recording, making movies, and even Christmas shows.
Yeah.
Did Brian ever give you a day off?
Yeah, one day off a month we had. And then Paul would judge a beauty contest.
I needed something to do.
He is the workaholic.
Couldn't have a day off.
We could relax a little, but he had to keep going.
Oh, welcome to Abbey Road, by the way, viewers.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Here we are.
You're right in. Come on in. Yeah, man.
It was all done on this carpet.
Just this little rug right here. But is it, looking back on this time and stuff, is it kind of crazy to think that you were in it? Looking from the outside in now.
We were in it and we loved it, and it was busy. And we made a record, we played a live gig, we did a photo shoot, and then we had lunch. And then we started the afternoon. I mean, it was busy, but it was great. We were doing something.
I mean, back then, I don't think it was like, pinch yourself, you're in the Beatles. It was like, we're just in the Beatles, we're going, like he says, we're going here now, this afternoon you've got to go up and do, play Edinburgh or something, You just did it, and you weren't aware of any significance. It was just a band, you were just guys in a band. But now there's so much time's gone by, and it's kind of in the history books, my kids bring home. Now I have to pinch myself and think,
I'll do it.
It's the best I've felt all day. Just to say, I was in the Beatles, he was in the Beatles, we are.
And it created something that everybody references. So I was in Happy Days, and for a while it became the #1 show really around the world. And there was a little moment, especially with Henry Winkler as the Fonz, Fonzie Mania. We would go and do these public appearances of these things, and there'd be 10,000 people, 15,000 people, and you'd jump in the car and it'd be shaking, or they'd try to grab. One time they grabbed my hat. He pulled it away. Even when I had hair, I didn't like it if they took my hat. But and we would get in the limo and kind of get through the crowd and say, "Wow, this is kind of sort of like Beatlemania." It became this reference. That probably happened 3 times. It probably happened 3,000 times for these guys. So you can't really compare anything to what they were going through. This is what I discovered working on the film.
All that madness. One of the most beautiful memories I have is when we finally made a record, and we'd all be in the same car. Everybody knows that. We were always in the same car, and we shared 2 rooms. We all slept together. And we'd know when the record was going to come on the radio. So at 17 minutes past 11, say, they were going to play the record, and we'd pull the car over. Wow, it was such, we're on record. It was so great. That's one of the huge memories for me.
Yeah, oh, it's lovely. This is from Cerys, who's in Wales, near Port Talbot. She says, Paul and Ringo, what advice would you give your younger selves?
Relax.
Just do what you did.
Relax,
It
baby.
turned out fine.
Do it, yeah. Yeah. No, the thing I think that made us what we were was doing it a lot. Like you say, we never had a day off. Hamburg, we just worked. So I think the advice would be just relax. It's going to be okay. Well, we did do it a lot, and I think that's what made us so tight as a band. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line for me is that we were a great little band. If I would just sort of go, well, one for the money, they go, bam, and they'd go, what song is that? And they go, boom, 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 da, bah. Everyone would just be in like, bang. We just knew each other that well, and it kept going like that, so that when we were doing more sophisticated records later on, we still had that point of contact, we just knew what each other was talking about.
That's one of the lovely things that comes out of the film is this friendship and this thing that you all created when you were all together. It's really magical and beautiful to watch in the film. Ocean, we'd like to ask Paul and Ringo, was there anything in the documentary that you guys had forgotten about?
Well, we'll tell you tomorrow.
When you see it, of course, yeah. Ashley wants to know, Paul and Ringo, was there any specific moment in your careers where you had that moment? You kind of touched on it earlier, where you went, wow, we've achieved what we wanted to achieve, or we've made it.
Yeah, I think Shea Stadium was big. That was the thing, you know, that was suddenly, we'd been playing big places, suddenly this was huge. And so that was like really big. The Ed Sullivan Show, where it was, you know, I was about to go on. I got to sing yesterday on it solo, you know, because I was saying, you know, the band, the strength of the union. And suddenly, because of this song I'd done, I've got to go on and do it on my own with the Ed Sullivan String Quartet in the pit kind of thing.
Yes.
I don't know how I did it. You know, I don't know how I did it. I look at it now and it's like, I look quite relaxed. Yeah. But then it was like, oh man.
We've probably got time for maybe one or two more. This one's from Danny, who's in London, who says, Ron, Paul and Ringo, great project. I was wondering how you settled on the film title.
Mostly became important when we started screening it for audiences, for them to understand that this is a portion of the story of the Beatles. It's not the whole epic. It's what I like about it because it kind of gives it a shape and an energy, you know. But it was very important for audiences not to expect the complete story.
You should tell them how you got to that title.
8 days a week, yeah, because I was driving out to John's house. This is the song title. And I'd been banned from driving because I'd had a speeding offence. And so I had to have a driver take me out to John's house. So I'm just saying to the driver, saying, how you doing? You know, great, you've been working hard. He says, 8 days a week. So I go into John's, got the title, here we go. And we wrote it, you know.
Wow.
Well, I'm afraid that's us run out of time.
Oh.
I'm really
Okay.
sorry.
Well,
So,
thanks.
Bye, everyone.
thank you very much
Thank
for all your
you.
questions, and thank you to Ringo, Paul and Ron, and go and take your friends to see the film because it's an absolutely wonderful, emotional, happy experience. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Peace and love.
Awesome.